I see my man in the background. We are joined with the man himself, John Kiriakou.
Hey.
John Kiriakou is former CIA officer, author, speaker. His book, CIA Insider's Guide to the Iran Crisis and the Reluctant Spy, and also host of, what's the show? You have multiple shows, John.
Got two. One is called Deprogram with Ted Rawl and me, and the other is Deep Focus with John Kiriakou, both on YouTube.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you for joining me, man. I really
Thanks
appreciate
for
it.
having me.
I'm sorry for getting to you a little bit late. I'm running a little bit behind.
No worries.
Let's talk Epstein. Let's talk Epstein. Two things first. I'm pretty sure you heard Chief Fritz. What is your take on that? I don't buy this idea that Donald Trump is being pushed on the issue of, maybe on the issue of Iran, maybe, just because his behavior is contradictory if he's not being pushed. I mean, there's no reason to beat it into the ground that you've destroyed the nuclear facilities when you was using that as your pretext to attack. If indeed you want to continue to attack. It's almost like you wanted to say, okay, I'm done with this. I'm out of this. I'm finished with this. Yeah. They took the shot. They failed. They didn't overthrow the government. There are no more nukes. We're good with this, et cetera. Now, of course, Netanyahu's not going to allow that. But it's contradictory if indeed what he wanted to do is continue it. But on the issue of Ukraine, he could have walked. His mandate was to walk. I don't care if Donald Trump surrounds himself with the devil himself. He had a mandate to walk. And now he is like, yeah, we're going to give him more weapons because Putin told me to F off.
I don't think he did have a mandate to walk. Because
Are you serious?
Yeah. A mandate from the voters, you mean?
Yes.
No. Because you figure this was a 50-50 election. The Democrats were solidly pro-Ukraine. And the Republicans were split. So sure, there were more MAGA, non-intervention people than there were neocons. But altogether, not a chance. He didn't have a mandate.
Donald Trump, and just to be clear, when I'm saying mandate, I don't mean mandate in the context of he won by 20 million votes. I mean mandate in the sense that this was litigated. And he won that litigation on the issue of war. Every poll that came out that was talking about who do you trust more on the issue of Ukraine or on the issue of foreign policy, it came back Trump. Yeah. And Trump's main argument that he beat into the ground every time you put a mic in his face was, this is a wasteful war. It should never happen. I'm getting out of the war. This is Joe Biden's war.
He was going to negotiate a deal. There was going to be a deal because remember, he's the deal maker. And then Putin told him to shove his deal, that Putin didn't want to stop this war. So no, I strongly actually disagree with you that there was no mandate to just get up and walk away. Nobody was proposing just getting up and walking away. It was, sure, you could walk away with honor, but Putin wasn't giving him the out for there to be honor.
Well, Trump was coming up with a stupid deal. I mean, like the notion that they were going to allow U.S. troops to be on the ground.
No, but that wasn't part of what Trump was proposing. He wasn't proposing U.S. troops. He threw it out there for a day, and it kind of went away. Nobody wanted U.S. troops to be in Ukraine. The idea was that the Russians would get the Donbass, and they would get to keep Crimea, and Ukraine would never join NATO, but there would be this fast track for the European Union. And everybody just assumed that the Russians were going to agree to that because that's essentially been what the war has been about.
And that's not what the war has been about. I so disagree with that. I mean, like, there was no way that Russia, after it took all those 5 regions and it effectively said this is now part of the Russian Constitution, and you would have to believe and trust that the U.S., which there's no reason to trust for the first of all of this notion of no NATO membership, and the European Union has become a militarized institution at this point, meaning why on earth would Russia ever accept that deal when they wouldn't even acknowledge that those regions were now part of the Russian Federation?
But then what you're advocating is endless war.
I'm advocating unconditional surrender at this point.
Yeah, that's never going to happen, ever, in any context. No.
I suppose we're going to find out.
Yeah.
Because the way it is and the way that it's going, the U.S. and Europe is not a trustworthy actor. And the idea that they're going to allow the balkanization of whatever is left of Ukraine and turn it into this kind of military installation where they can launch attacks back into Russia, they're never going to accept that.
No, of course not. But that's not what NATO is proposing. They're proposing defense guarantees, certainly, but not to use Ukraine as a base. That's unacceptable to the Russians, and they know it.
Yes, and they were going to continue to militarize Ukraine the entire way through.
What do you mean?
Meaning Russia's main issue, they weren't against negotiations. They even said, we are willing for a ceasefire if you stop giving them intelligence, stop giving them weapons, and you stop this kind of training for the military bases. They said, no, we're not doing it. They were very clear. We're not doing that. We're not accepting that term. And so it's not like Russia was being maximalist. Their thing was, we were willing to accept the ceasefire under these terms. J.D. Vance comes out and makes the point of saying, well, Russia believes it's winning, and it's putting unreasonable demands. Okay, how is it an unreasonable demand that you stop rearming this entity that when we had a deal once before in regards to the Minsk agreements, you continue to rearm it and turn it into the largest military in this region? The
Ukrainians see that as a violation of their sovereignty. It shouldn't be up to some other power, outside power, to decide if they get to defend themselves.
Fair enough, but the United States wouldn't tolerate that situation either. We didn't tolerate and keep a missile crisis. I don't know why we think.
No, you're right. There's a double standard here, without any question. Yeah, but unconditional surrender never going to happen.
I suppose we're going to find out. Unfortunately, I suppose we're going to find out. I'm so sick of this war. You have no idea.
Yeah. Oh, you and me both. This has cost me a lot of money, this doggone war.
I guess all of us, and a lot of everybody else who got fired from the network.
Yeah. We all lost our jobs at Sputnik, and I had a very profitable TV show at RT, and I lost that as well.
Yeah.
And the best health insurance I ever had in my life.
You know, of everything that I miss, it's the health insurance.
Yes, me too.
Because my channel has grown in a way that would have never happened if I kept the job. And so it's one loss, one win.
Sure.
You don't get health insurance, though.
No.
And the health insurance was free.
Tell me about it. Right. And this Obamacare is not all it's cracked up to be either.
No, it is not. It is not. Thank you for that. I appreciate the opposition. I need the opposition. It helps informs my point of view, because I could be wrong. And, you know, it's like that.
Me too.
That tension is necessary to figure out where I am on this stuff. Let's talk Epstein.
Yeah.
Let's talk Epstein. What is going on with this? So it's apparently the last minute that people were missing, because the prison thing is weird. They're like, here's 11 hours of video footage when we told you there was no video footage. And it's like, okay, dude, you said that the cameras were already damaged, and now you're showing us something that you're telling us is video footage. Well, apparently people found the last minute that was being hidden from all of us on the Epstein footage. I'm going to play it here for the first time for anybody to see. Oh, what is this?
Oh my God. Oh my God. There he goes. Mossad, the Mossad Chevy. Oh my God. It should be so simple, right?
Right. We found the footage. We figured it out. Give me your take on this. I'm fascinated with your take on this because, you know, Acosta, I showed the clip or the article before where Acosta pointed out, this is above my pay grade. Epstein is intelligence.
Right.
He said it very plainly and very clearly.
Could not have been any more clear. Yes.
Yep. Was he intelligence?
I have always maintained that I thought he was. Yeah. And I'll tell you, I'm of several minds, but let's talk about the intelligence connection first. I was on the Piers Morgan show, I don't know, month and a half ago.
Yeah.
And it was Scott Horton and I versus Alan Dershowitz and the former head of Mossad. I think it was Danny Ayalon, Danny something, not Danny Ayalon, but something like that. 80-year-old former 4-star general. And Alan Dershowitz barely let me get a word out. And when I said I believed, and I always couch my language very carefully, I said, I believe that Epstein was an Israeli Mossad access agent. And I'll explain what that is in a sec. But Dershowitz lost his shit when I said that.
Did he?
And started screaming at me that he was Epstein's lawyer. He knew Epstein for 20 years, that if Epstein had been an Israeli agent, he would have told him. And he says, and I would have gotten him a lighter sentence if he had gone public with that. And I said, lighter sentence if he admitted in public that he was committing espionage by trying to entrap former American presidents? You would have gotten him off? I would have wanted to see him hang from a tree. And then we ran out of time. So what is an Israeli access agent? Forgive me if I'm repeating myself.
No, please.
So every CIA officer, every intelligence officer in every service in the world wants to recruit the president or the prime minister of a foreign country. Never going to happen, right? So you do the next best thing. You recruit the guy next to the president or the prime minister. Mm-hmm. So if you are an Israeli Mossad agent, or you're the director of Mossad, and you want secret information from the likes of Bill Clinton, Bill Gates, Prince Andrew, Alan Dershowitz, and any other of the number of people who were on the Lolita Express or going to Epstein's Island, you're not going to recruit those people. Bill Clinton doesn't need your money. Bill Gates isn't going to take your measly $2,000 a month to give him classified information. So what you do is you find somebody who does have access to those people, somebody like Jeffrey Epstein, and you make sure that he has plenty of money, more than he could ever use. You make sure that he's got the private jet, that he's got the big house in the Caribbean, where every single room and bathroom was wired for video and audio. Then you bring in the underage girls to give them massages and God knows what else, was happening there. So that if you try and elicit some information from Bill Clinton or Prince Andrew, Bill Gates et al., and they don't want to give you the information, you have something to hang over their heads. And I'm going to add a story that I've told repeatedly. And again, forgive me if I'm repeating myself. When I was in operational training at the CIA, where they were actually teaching us how to recruit spies to steal secrets, one of my instructors told me that the best recruitment he ever had in his life was a copy machine repairman. And we laughed. And he said, no, hear me out. We all want to recruit the prime minister when we go overseas. None of us are going to recruit the prime minister. But the prime minister's got a copy machine in his office. And that copy machine is going to need servicing or cleaning. You recruit the repairman. So when he goes in to clean the prime minister's copy machine and he's dusting the drums, he's also installing a device that you've given him so that every time somebody makes a copy, it transmits a copy back to CIA headquarters. All of a sudden, you have access as if you are a secretary in the prime minister's office, seeing literally everything that comes through that office. He said, I got a promotion, I got a medal, I got a photo op with the director of the CIA. It made my career. Copy machine repairman. Never underestimate a worker. Analyze their access.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same thing with Epstein. Like I say, Mossad's not going to recruit Bill Clinton, but they've got Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell that allows them to get all the information they want and to hold this compromat over the heads of every one of these important people. So I would bet money that he was working for Mossad. I feel very confident in that conclusion.
and effectively uses leverage over all of these various people. Because we don't even know exactly what he was doing for a living. And some people have made the argument that he had leverage for a living. That's what he did for a living.
I think that's probably right. We don't know what he did for a living. He wasn't an expert in any way in investments or tax consulting. We've heard that recently too. He was probably involved in a homosexual relationship with Les Wexner, the billionaire founder of the Limited stores. We don't know. That's the accusation. And Les Wexner reportedly gave him hundreds of millions of dollars, to be his advisor in some way. He parlayed that somehow into something closer to $1 billion. He had the widest townhouse in Manhattan and the private jet and the house on the island in the Caribbean. He may have had the whole island. I don't remember anymore. Yeah. So somebody was backing him. He didn't earn this money himself. No.
I want to get your take on something Dershowitz said. Alan Dershowitz, who apparently didn't take his socks off.
He kept his underwear on when the 86-year-old Dershowitz was being massaged by a 16-year-old girl. He kept his underwear on.
And has been arguing for lowering the age of consent, which is like, dude, you are gross. But he defending a pedophile. So there's that by itself, which everybody deserves a defense, fair enough. But it is understood that as Epstein was apex pedophile. Listen to Dershowitz. Listen to what he has to say.
So let me tell you, I know for a fact documents are being suppressed. And they're being suppressed to protect individuals. I know the names of the individuals. I know why they're being suppressed. I know who's suppressing them. But I'm bound by confidentiality from a judge and cases, and I can't disclose what I know. But I hand to God, I know the names of people whose files are being suppressed in order to protect them. And that's wrong.
Well, if they're involved in a criminal act, there cannot be suppression. And no judge is going to say that Alan Dershowitz can't say who is suppressing. If the suppression, exactly. No judge is going to say, you can't say that the president ordered that these files not be released. No judge in America is going to say something like that. The president has no standing. That would be a criminal act. So I don't believe Dershowitz. I mean, he may know who's been implicated. He probably does know who's been implicated because Epstein told him, right? They're friends for 20 years and he was Epstein's lead attorney. So sure, he probably knows that. But to say that a judge ordered that he not reveal who ordered that the names be suppressed, that's not how the judicial system works.
He also would know the names. I mean, again, he would know who Epstein was in association with. He would know the Johns. He would know that stuff. Mm-hmm. And he just is not releasing that stuff.
Yeah. Right. You know what I would do? This is just me. I'm a whistleblower by nature, and I'm very willing to poke the hornet's nest. I've done it many times.
Yeah.
I would go public. If he's telling the truth and he has these names, hand to God, he says, blow the whistle. Go public and dare the judge to hold you in contempt. What's the worst possible thing that could happen? You get 30 days in the local lockup.
And his client is dead.
And your client's dead. Right. Your client's dead. I would blow the whistle and go public. He doesn't have the guts to do it.
Do you think that the main issue people can make the cases that Donald Trump is in those files. Epstein's brother has pointed out that he believes Donald Trump is in those files, but Epstein's brother is salty in general. So let's put him to the side for the moment. Do you think that what it boils down to is that it's the connection with intelligence that is the reason that the Trump administration is so against releasing this stuff and trying to bang this into the ground. That nothing to see here, folks. Everything is fine.
Probably, but it wouldn't account for the Biden administration's refusal to release any of these documents. So I think more than just a connection to the Israelis, we all assume that there's this connection to the Israelis. So what, it's going to embarrass the Israelis? Who cares? I think it's more likely that there really are movers and shakers, household names who had sex with underage girls. Mm-hmm.
Well, and you're saying, so what, it embarrasses Israelis. But
yeah,
what we're talking about, though, is grown men having sex with children.
That's the issue.
Yeah, and them using it as leverage.
Yes.
To compel behavior of various political figures.
That's right.
And entertainment figures. That's a hell of an embarrassment. Because that would mean that an intelligence agency had to knowingly observe grown people have sex with kids.
Yeah.
And to use it over the course of decades as a criminal enterprise that they've allowed to go through just for influence operations. That's a hell of a man.
Yeah. And let me add something too, because we're talking about major embarrassment here. When I was on this Piers Morgan thing, having the cage match with Dershowitz and this Israeli general.
Yeah.
Dershowitz said, Israel does not spy on the U.S. And I said, of course Israel spies on the U.S. And then Pierce says, General, does Israel spy on the U.S.? And he goes, no, not since Jonathan Pollard. Jonathan Pollard was arrested in 1985, the year of the spy.
Yeah.
And Pierce says, John, is that true? And I said, no, of course that's not true, with all due respect to the general. And in the meantime, Dershowitz is just screaming to try to drown me out. So I said, no, with all due respect to the general, 5 years after the arrest of Pollard, the FBI warned all CIA new hires, of which I was one, that there were 187 deep cover Israeli spies spread all over the United States, stealing our defense secrets. Of course, Israel spies on the United States. And then Pierce says, General, and he just goes, oh.
So that was it.
Yeah, that was
the
it.
Obviously, yes.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't even know why that's even
yeah.
shocking.
Yeah,
I mean,
but it was as though I had offended. I had badmouthed Dershowitz's, mother. That's how he responded. He was just appalled.
Have you ever played the game Civilization?
Yeah, sure.
Even allies, meaning when I'm allied with somebody, I spy on them.
You have to. That's why, I gave an interview one time, Jamal. I gave an interview right after the Snowden revelations where the interviewer asked me for my reaction to the revelation that we were intercepting Angela Merkel's cell phone. Yeah. And I was just sitting there and I'm like,
of course.
So, well, she's an ally. And I said, of course. An ally that we are frequently at odds with over issues like trade, for example, or issues inside NATO. It's not that they're going to run some operation against Angela Merkel. It's that they want to know what the German position really is on these issues.
Yeah.
And I said, frankly, if I were the president and NSA was not intercepting Angela Merkel's cell phone, I'd fire the head of NSA.
Yeah. It's not his job.
I want NSA to be intercepting these communications. That's what we created NSA to do.
Yeah.
We can't be like, oh my God, we're spying on an ally. Oh my God. Come on, grow up.
The issue, I think, is because they have this idea that we're love and light.
Yeah.
And these are buddies.
Right.
And it's like, dude, that's not a buddy, that's a country.
Yeah.
They have interests. We have interests. And sometimes
there are no permanent friends, just permanent interests.
Yeah. Yeah. One last thing before I let you go. So this case is very fascinating because this is one of the few times where it seems like the entirety of the American public said BS.
Yeah.
That nobody believes.
Jamal, you saw the faces on Kash Patel and Dan Bongino when they made the announcement. They couldn't even look up. They had their heads down the whole time. And then finally they went like this and Kash Patel said, he killed himself and there are no files.
It's like looking at a woman you had bad sex with in the morning.
Yeah.
You just can't look at each other. It's like,
exactly. It's like, oh, come on.
So do you think anything's going to come of this? Like, meaning they're just going to look at it kind of like the Kennedy assassination.
You know what, man?
The public may think, but the public doesn't know. And the fact that they don't know is enough for us to just move on.
I'm very much like you in this respect, in that I want to believe that my government is doing the right thing and that it's all about truth and honor and dignity for the victims. No, none of that's going to happen.
No.
This thing, the administration is going to ensure that this thing just goes away. They're going to demand that the media move on to the next issue. And if there is no next issue, they'll create a next issue. But they want this thing to just go away. It's a shame.
So all of those victims, that man, that's amazing. I mean, they even went through with Prince Edward, apparently removing sanctions off of him. They're talking about pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell.
Yeah.
And, 2 or 3 years ago, when all of this was happening, I kept saying, where are the Johns? Where are the Johns?
Yeah, seriously.
It's like you said, this guy was an apex predator. Where are the Johns?
Yeah.
And they would never come out with the Johns. And it's weird to me because this was going through state.
Yeah.
But meaning this was like Florida going after Epstein.
Yes.
It wasn't like, the federal government. But then somehow the federal government is involved. And it's like, okay, well, what happened to the case in Florida? Just vanished.
Yes. Yes. Wow. It just vanished. Yep.
Last word on this, John. Did I not ask something that I should know or that the audience should know on this?
No, you've hit it on the head. And the truth is, and this is what makes it difficult for people like you and me. The truth is that there's no easy answer, and we just don't know all the facts. Not only do we not know all the facts, we're probably not going to know all the facts. For example, yesterday I did a podcast with it was with Danny Jones, he's one of the big podcasters of the country.
Yeah. And
we were talking about the same issue. And I said, his hyoid bone was broken in the way that, blah, blah, blah. Yes. And he said, yeah, but Dr. Michael Bodden. And he said, Michael Bodden. Dr. Bodden said that he examined the hyoid bone and it was broken in 3 places, which indicated to him homicide.
Right.
Yeah. And I said, see, this is the thing, is we're never going to know the facts. They're not going to let us know the facts.
I think he was murdered, though. I never accepted the suicide thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's too weird. Like, it's so, like, they put him in with this Herculean guy.
Yeah, they did. A serial killer, no less.
Yes, who had 4 bodies buried out in his backyard. From my understanding, Herculean had like a cell phone in his cell. Supposedly slept through him trying to commit suicide. And I'm like, wow, that's the quietest suicide in the history of suicide. It's like you are laying in bed and there's a guy trying to kill himself supposedly with sheets, and you're sleeping like a baby.
Yes.
And it's like, okay,
nuts.
Fair enough. Taglione never talks, never says a word.
No, never said a word. Never said a word.
Then the guards either were not there or went to sleep.
Yep.
They're supposed to be checking on him, every 30 minutes?
Every 8 minutes.
Oh, thank you. That's
in my prison, it was every 30 minutes. But he was maximum security suicide watch every 8 minutes.
So every 8 minutes, the cameras that were supposed to be looking at his cell, both of them were broken. They bring up apparently one camera that we are supposed to believe was watching the cell with 2 minutes or 1 minute and a half missing.
Yeah.
And they're like, yep, nothing to see here. And my thing is like, okay, with all of these abnormalities, how do we know that somebody didn't kill him?
We don't. That's why we can speculate, but who knows?
You think they offed him?
I don't. I think he killed himself.
Do you?
I do.
Even with the bone thing, even with the medical examiner saying the bones were.
Yeah, because other medical examiners have said no. If he dropped himself rather than to push himself forward like that with the sheet around his neck, it would have resulted in the same kind of fractures.
Were you aware of anybody that tried to kill themselves in the exact same way like that? It seems outlandish.
Oh no, desperate people do desperate things in prison. Yeah. Yeah, especially when you're looking at 40 years.
Yeah, and to be a pedophile also, it's not going to be the easiest prison sentence.
He's probably going to be beaten to death at some point for being a pedophile. And he's not going to, even if he survives that, he's not ever going to get out. I'd rather be dead.
John Kiriakou. I've heard, I'll just give you a thing. John Kiriakou, former CIA officer, author, speaker, his books, The CIA Insider's Guide to the Iran Crisis, The Reluctant Spy. You can find him on Twitter at John Kiriakou. Learn more about him at johnkiriakou.com. And you have 2 shows, Deprogrammed and
Deep Focus.
Deep Focus. Deep and D, both of those things. And Ted Rall is fantastic. So
he's great. Great friend.
John, thank you for this, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jamaro. Good to see you, buddy.
Absolutely, man. You be safe. Have a good one. All right. We have had a fantastic show today. Fantastic show. We are nearly at 5,000 people watching. Even better. I appreciate all of you